In this video, we're going to focus on creating a hover effect like this here, where we cover the segment with a nice grayish background color. So let's start with how we can create a hover effect for the bar chart in Chart.js 4. So first of all, make sure you have the border template, and the border template can be found here on chartjs3.com getting started. This link here you can find as well in the description box. Once you're on here, copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to support my channel, check out my Patreon page here where you have access to many source codes, including this one. So to do this effect, what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll down here and we're going to create a new plugin. Say comma, and then we say here plugins, and then let's say here a hover segment. Basically what I want to do is I want to hover the segment the moment I am hovering with my mouse cursor on a specific area in the chart. So we're going to grab this hover segment and we're going to say / hover segment plugin block constant hover segment equals id hover segment, and then we're going to say when would we like to draw this hovering effect. Well, probably before we draw these data sets here. So we're going to say here not after, but before data sets draw. Then I want to have the chart, we want the arcs, and we want the plugin options or the plugins. So then what I want to do here, I want to start create the object destructuring. If you don't know object destructuring, very important to understand, please check out my video, Understanding Chart.js Object Destructuring. So now what I want to do here, I want to have the CTX, the chart area. And then this chart area will be broken down into top, bottom, left, right, width, and height. I do not know if we need all of them, but just in case, so we have them. I want to have the scales, and specifically the X and Y scale. So X and Y scale here, and I guess then we are good to go. So what I want to do is I want to draw something here. However, if I do here, for example, fill ctx dot save to save all variables above, and then I'm going to say ctx dot fill rectangle. And if I do here now something, let's say 10 by 10 by 10 by 10, which is basically the pixel coordinates. This is the x coordinate. Let me just break that down because I'm going ahead very fast. The x, the y, the width, and the height of this rectangle shape. And basically here the x would be the x starting position, which is the horizontal starting position. Let's say at 10 pixels, so there might be here somewhere. And I'm going to say here the y, which is the vertical level, is somewhere 10, so maybe it will be here. And then let's, for this sake here, for the width, I'll make this 20 pixels in width, and the height will be 100 pixels. If I save this, let's ignore that. You can see here what is happening. It draws immediately a shape. This is all fine, but I don't want this, because this is the command to draw the shape immediately, no matter if I'm hovering or not. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that we hover first and then we do something. So basically we're going to create an effect or an event, and after that specific event of hovering, then we're going to do something. Luckily there's a built-in Chart.js feature for this. It's called after event, and then we can just grab here all the logic as we have here above. So then what I will do is, just for the sake of it, I think we don't need much, but let's grab all of these object destructuring there, so we have them. And then what I want to do here is basically explore the arcs here, which is the argument which basically triggers or tracks the event. So I'm going to say console log arcs, and let's explore what's going on here. And as you can see here, as I start to do something, it starts to track all the information, and you can see here a lot of nice information that we have. In the chart area, true, and if we are out of it, it will say false, or somewhere here. I guess it's somewhere here. In chart area, false. You can see here the mouse move, which is basically the hover effect, but not really the hover. Hover would mean if we are on top of something, but in this case I don't want to be only on top of the canvas, but I want to track if I'm moving within the canvas with my cursor. So that is mouse move. It is not only hovering on top of it, but also moving there, and do we track every single pixel movement. That's what it does. So we have here all of this. We have here as well the X and Y coordinates, which is basically the ones we need if we want to trigger a specific item. So what I'm going to do here for now, we have these arcs. Then let's go here and say that dot event, and then in the event here, let's grab the X and Y coordinates. X and let's see if we need this. Well, probably I will be needing the X coordinates. This here is a pixel coordinate, which later on I want to translate into one of these index numbers here. So we can do this as well very nicely. So what I'm going to do now is this X coordinate here, I probably can, well, what I want to track then is as well are we in the chart area, yes or no. So that's what I'm going to do here now. I'm going to say here, arcs dot in the chart area. I'm going to create here an if statement. Say if, let's put this in here. If we are in here and this is considered as true, in that case, what I want to do is I want to have a value. So I'm going to say here a let value. Let's make this let, and let's say here hover val. What I want to know is on which index number I eventually am. But for now, I'll just say here number 1. And else, what I want to do is the hover value will be set to undefined. Undefined, and I guess this should not be a string value but a numeric value. So if we do this, I want to make sure that this value will also be communicated here. However, let me just show you. If I do this here and I do here console log hover value, it will not immediately communicate without certain adjustments. So if I hover over this, hover value is not defined. Well, I guess in this case it's in here. What I want to do now is I want to grab this and eventually put it there, and of course if it doesn't really even recognize here, we have an issue. So what I want to do is I'm going to use here what we call hoisting. Let value, the hover value, and then we have like this. And we can maybe set this to undefined, that is fine. So you're going to say here undefined by default. So once we have this, I can just change this. Because of the hoisting, it will now allow us to grab that specific value. Save that, refresh, hover over here, and you can see here number 1. And then if I'm out of the chart area, it will say value of undefined. And so that's number 1. And you can see here this one, we'll be needing this later on. So what I want to do now is I want to make sure that this, whatever this value is being communicated here to draw this. Because what I will do then is basically here check if we can say your hover value is not equal to undefined. In that case, I want to draw. So in that case, I want to draw what exactly this nice shape. So let's put it in there, save that, and refresh. So if I do this, as you can see here, I'm in the chart area. If I'm outside of the chart area, as you can see here, it works not fully. Because of this tooltip, it will help me, but eventually it should be more intelligent. It should immediately, when I hover around here. So what I need to do here, and this is a very useful item in after event, we can use here the following: arcs.change, and this by default is set up false, so we set it on true. What this does is it will redraw after this movement here, after the event, it will redraw this before data set. So if I save that, refresh, and I'm here, out, as you can see here, the moment I'm out of the chart area, which is this part here outside, this is out of the chart area, and it's in the chart area, it will show and hide. Alright, so now we can just use this logic for getting the X value here. So let me just show you what I want to do here. So here, what I'm going to do is, we're going to say here X get pixel, and this is a built-in functionality from Chart.js. And then I want not to get pixel, but I want to say get the value for pixel, whatever we have in here. So what this does is it will look at the pixel value that we have, where we hover on the X position here, and convert it to the nearest value of one of these data points. So let me just save this and refresh, so we can see here number 6, that is correct. 5, if I'm here, you can see here as I move here, it will understand immediately when I'm the nearest in a specific area. This information is gold for us, so I'm going to grab that. I'll say the hover value will be this, or else it will be undefined the moment we're out of the chart area. So now we can just start working on building the shape here, because remember we have here the X, here the Y, and then we have the width and the height. So now we have this information here as hover value. So now I can put this hover value in here as my starting point. For the Y, I want to start at the very top here, and this top is the chart area top. So I'm going to grab this, put it in the Y. For the width, I need to figure out the thickness of this point all the way to here, basically the segment. That's what we call the segment. But let's do the height first, because the height will be very easy, because we have here the height that will indicate how many pixels in height the item is. So if I go in here, what is the W? Of course. So let's say width like that. Alright, so as you can see here, it is doing something, but I'm not 100% convinced that this is really working. So we need to check on that one. The hover value is what? So we say you get pixel for the argument, get the value of that. Alright. What is happening is we get the value here, but this will be then, of course, let me just do console log. You will see here, this is number 1, and that is not, of course, what we can use, or number 5, 6. That's why you see here, it is moving only one single pixel. So I don't want that. What I want to do, I want that to move its position. So we have here the value to get the get value for the pixel. Then I guess what we can do here is the opposite. We're going to say here x.get pixel for value. Yes, so once we do this, we will get the value of that specific index number. So I guess we can say here constant, and then let's see here, I guess we can just do it like that. I'm going to grab this, put that hover value in here, save that, refresh, and if I move over, as you can see here, now it is intelligent enough. However, it starts here in the center, which is correct because the bar, it starts here in the center. That's considered 0, and this is here -0, and etc, etc. So what I need to do is I need to move at least a half slice here, and let's give it a color. So I'm going to say here ctx.fill style, and I'll just make this very simple. String value RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.05 or something like that. I'll make it a very light color so it's hardly noticeable but still visible. As you see here, that looks quite decent. So now let's position it correctly. To get the position here, what we need to do is we need to know what is the width here divided by the amount of items that we're seeing. This is very important. So what I'm going to do here, let's say here console log, I'm going to get here the X. If I do this, we can get here the category scale. We get here the max width of the scale, and you can see here this is the max width of it. And basically what I need to do here, the max width can be divided by the amount of items being shown. Right now we see an amount of the index is 6. So I'm going to grab here this max width, or we can even get the width from the chart area, which I think is just identical. Let's grab that one. Then we're going to say, yeah, this divide by x dot max. If I save this, refresh, we're now getting somewhere. We have to move this a little bit and see afterwards if we need to fine tune it a little bit more. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say the constant segment equals max width, like that. And the segment is basically this point. From 1 point to here is basically considered a segment. So we have this segment here, and that segment, well, let's first of all, let's define here how many pixels in width. That is the segment itself. This should be the exactly 1, although I'm not 100% convinced. It looks like very big. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say here, this one here, the position should be minus the segment divided by 2. And I'm going to say here, like that, save, refresh. Alright, as you can see here, now we're getting somewhere, but we are still not really accurate here. So what is the issue here? I remember we have the max value, x max equals 6. And that is in this case correct. There are 6, basically index number 6. That's how it's calculated. But of course you can see here 7 items. So what I need to do here for the max, I need to add up here 1 item additional because we have 7 data points. So now if I move over and hover, it will look exactly as I wanted, and this looks absolutely phenomenal. And there we are.